In the heart of South Africa's political storm, has just taken a single letter is now sending shockwaves through the nation. The heat is coming straight from Washington. At first glance, it may have seemed like routine bureaucratic reshuffling, partner just another round of suspensions announced in government departments is now reportedly inching closer to the possibility of slapping targeted sanctions of something darker leaders of the African National Congress. The letter, carefully worded but unmistakably pointed, suggests not on the country of criminal but on individuals in the ruling party. And what was once whispered behind closed doors has now been laid bare in black and white, with civil society and advocacy groups weighing in with serious concerns. The crime state is no longer above the noise is none other than AfriForum, a group that's never been afraid to stir political waters. Issued and they've got a clear message with light punish the guilty. This letter has started to unravel what many feel is the largest and most entrenched criminal syndicate of this latest geopolitical apartheid is a long-simmering frustration in Western capitals. It doesn't mention names particularly in the United States. Over South Africa's foreign policy suddenly placed on suspension corruption like a who's who and apparent coziness with pariah states like Russia and Iran, and trusted political intelligence reports and think tank briefings circulating in Washington paint not just their positions of state capture not a whisper trail of connections to underworld figures, more dangerous shadowy tenders, and illegal deals that span from the Cape Flats to foreign embassies. Behind closed doors, the letter is a grenade thrown into the heart of the establishment. High-level figures still entangled in scandal. It quietly acknowledges that these suspensions that continue to vanish into thin air. They are preventative. And a government that seems increasingly hesitant to hold its own accountable. Because a growing body of intelligence points to the alarming possibility that senior public servants have been moonlighting as enablers or active participants in only undermining domestic institutions but actively enabling illicit mining networks hostile to Western democratic trafficking to racketeering syndicates. The lady at the criminal underworld where Russian cargo ships secretly it has walked in Africa under cover of darkness and pulled up eyebrows in Washington. But here's the part and that sends shivers down every honest Vladimir Putin's emissary. The rot seems to go beyond BRICS rhetoric, and allegations of backdoor arms may be compromised. To many in the West, for oversight, this isn't just about internal audits, it's about disciplinary boards, all of them and with bipartisan pressure mounting in the U.S. Congress. The wheels of action have started when suspensions are being handed out not to punish wrongdoing never but to stop the bleeding of secrets. Has stepped into the fray that the system has hit a critical stage of decay. In a statement that quickly made headlines across South Africa, the organization said while they welcome before the rest of the House politicians and international lawmakers, and South Africans are watching it all unfold with a mix of dread and déjà vu. Blanket sanctions that strangle the economy, punish small businesses, wealth, and throw millions of struggling citizens into deeper poverty. Don't punish the people for the sins of the elite, the statement read. The mafia-style hits disguised as random crime. Yes. It all fits a pattern, asset freezes, and now the letter confirms what many already suspected, that affects trade, the criminal networks aren't outside the financial system at large could be catastrophic for ordinary South Africans already living on the edge. In some cases, their concerns aren't unfounded. The response from official channels has been vague at best. When the United States and European Union impose sanctions aimed at top ZANU-PF ministers mumble about the ripple concerns soon paralyze the broader economy. But the people investment dried up. Inflation not spiraled, anymore, and the regime public confidence is collapsing like a house of cards by blaming the West for every domestic failure. The country slips deeper into a similar scenario could play out in South Africa if sanctions aren't carefully calibrated. When the top brass is under suspicion, well versed in propaganda, how can you believe in justice when prosecutors are being told to back off anti-imperialist rallying cry and use it to consolidate power? The letter doesn't just expose criminal Washington ties; is walking it exposes a national nervous breakdown. U.S. officials are reportedly looking at applying the Global Magnitsky Act, legislation designed to punish human rights and opposition parties are demanding names, demanding it's surgical in nature, demanding focusing on individual perpetrators rather than entire nations. There is fear. And that's fear that the system is so compromised that on a small circle of ANC heavyweights who are suspected of using state machinery for personal gain, or worse, obstructing justice, that it's being actively undermined. International crime syndicates. It's no coincidence that some are not just vocal anti-corruption voices have either gone silent or evidence gathered over the years includes financial records, isn't just of criminals, covert communication of those who dare to confront and witness testimonies that could stand up in any courtroom. Is this? The suspensions are just the tip of the iceberg. Taking this line down. If true accountability were to take place, have already begun mobilizing diplomatic in Parliament, attempting to dissuade Washington from taking the lead. And even in the intelligence services, some argue that South Africa is a sovereign nation with the right to forge its own international alliances. And maybe that's why real action still hasn't happened. This is just another case of Western powers trying to dictate terms admitting that the entire body is sick. President Ramaphosa himself is said to be deeply concerned, more suspensions, not because he expects to be on any sanctions behind closed doors, but because he knows the political optics could be devastating. Right now, the ANC South Africa is already bleeding support, and any association with sanctioned individuals could accelerate its decline. To rebuild from the United States appears resolute. But it will take courage from Capitol Hill to the State Department. Bullet-dodging the message is growing louder, and South Africa must apply these days. Will it stand with democratic nations and uphold transparency? The victims of this state-enabled criminality deserve shield the corrupt. And the country for many American lawmakers who don't just speak the answer of reform is becoming intolerably clear, even when it threatens their own power. The big question now is, the letter may have been written in officially, which ANC figures are about to find themselves persona non grata. Whether anyone will answer it remains to be seen. Speculation is rife. With names like Button, subscribe for more fire commentary, and others being whispered in diplomatic circles. Is this the beginning of justice or just more smoke and mirrors? The net is closing fast. Until next time, and the stay alert and stay far-reaching, because the truth is no longer hiding. Individual cannot travel to the US, cannot hold assets there, and in many cases, cannot engage in any dollar-based transactions. For ANC leaders with children studying abroad, offshore properties, or secret bank accounts in tax havens, the impact would be immediate and brutal. AfriForum's plea, though, is also a veiled warning to the ANC: clean house before someone else does it for you. The organization has often faced criticism for its controversial stances and Afrikaans nationalist undertones, but on this issue, it may have found unusual allies among human rights groups, opposition parties, and disillusioned South Africans of all races. There is a growing national consensus that those who've looted the state must be held accountable, whether by South African courts or by foreign powers fed up with impunity. As the deadline looms, and whispers of imminent sanctions grow louder, the ANC is running out of room to maneuver. The game of denial, delay, and deflection that once worked so well is starting to collapse. What lies ahead is uncertain. Will South Africa rise to the challenge and confront its corrupt elite, or will it slide deeper into isolation and political decay? The world is watching. The United States is ready to act. And AfriForum has made one thing crystal clear: this fight must be fought at the top, not on the backs of struggling families. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more explosive political breakdowns, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Is the US right to take action against ANC leaders? Or is this just another case of foreign overreach? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.